Good evening. I have that it's 6:30. If we could please call our meeting to order. And if I could please have a motion to move to executive session for the purposes of discussing potential litigation.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
roll call.
Perfect, thank you.
Good evening. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I could please have a motion to approve the minutes of our regular meeting, December 7th.
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? If I could please have a motion to approve our minutes of a special meeting, December 14th.
So moved.
Right.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
Oh, I wish you said it for 3.
I can't verify if they're accurate if I was there.
So 3.
I trust that they are, but I can't verify.
Good evening and welcome all. This evening we have no updates for me to communicate with you regarding our agenda, and also I have no correspondence to share for the good of the order. Superintendent Turk, comments from you.
I have very little to say that's of more interest than to allow these fine folks in the audience to speak to you this evening. So I'll get right to that. Mr. Kudla from the elementary school is here. He has brought a host of students who have taken part in a wonderful giving back project for the holidays. And he's here to tell us about that and give some of our students an opportunity to speak with you tonight. So, Mr. Kudla.
Second grader, do you want to post down here real quick? So thank you guys for having us tonight. So these are our Tier 1 intervention students. In the elementary school, we've taken a huge initiative in reading and ELA. From the data that we collected at the beginning of the year, we broke our students up into 3 tiers. Tier 1 being the highest leveled readers that continue to exceed in ELA and reading. This is a good group of kids that we have right here, but we have 22 overall in the group that I work with. These are from my classroom, Shannon Kostick's classroom, and Jackie Mack's classroom. And we have 2 teams, so this is one of 2 teams of Tier 1 kids. Like I said, they consistently exceed the grade level expectation for reading. So our group, we meet every day from about 9:45 to 10:25, and we do a lot of enrichment activities. We do a lot of reading for understanding. We do a lot of comprehension reading. We do a lot of writing, handwriting. So for the holidays, with the help of Chrissy Hartnett and a few others, we got together and we broke off into 3 groups to give back to the community. That these guys could work in a project setting on, they could work together on, and most importantly, they could work independently with one another on and build those social skills with each other, sort of take initiative and build something of their own to give back to the community. We talked a lot about how much this school district and this community gives us. We should really give back, and I think at 7 and 8 years old, that's a really great lesson for them to learn because the best part about being at the elementary school is, these are our youngest minds, and we're molding them every day. And these guys worked extremely hard. I'm super proud of them. Like I said, some of them are in my class, but I've got to know, 22 of them so much more than just my own kids, mine and Mrs. Gilbert's classroom. So they're going to present to you what we've done today. Like I said, we broke off into 3 groups, and I'm going to give them the opportunity to come up and sort of present to you what they've done, the great work that they've done. You're going to be really impressed. And I'm going to let them take it from here. So the first group that's going to present is led by Elena Lingarowski, and they're working on a giving back activity for the Salvation Army.
Why don't you give them the microphone, Mr. Kudla? Let them, great. Yep, nice and loud.
Good evening, board members and Homer administrators. Homer second graders have been collecting blankets and new winter clothes for donation to the Cortland Frontier Salvation Army. We have collected 2 full boxes of blankets and clothes in our elementary office. We will still be collecting donations until Wednesday the 22nd. If anyone would like to still donate, donation boxes are in the elementary office. Thank you and happy holidays.
So as of Monday, this group has actually collected 80 items between new winter clothes and blankets for donation to the Salvation Army. Next up is the leader of our group that actually included only 3 young men. So he's the only one here tonight, so I'm going to stand with him. And this is Gregory Teeter, and his group worked on collecting loose change for a good cause.
And Gregory, use your playground voice, okay?
Photographers right in here would be fantastic too. Come right in
Good
if you want
evening,
to.
board members and Homer administrators. Homer second graders have been collecting loose change for the Golisano Children's Hospital of Syracuse. We will still be collecting donations until Wednesday, the 22nd. If anyone would like to still donate, donation boxes are in the elementary office. Thank you and happy holidays.
And our last group is working on something very special that involves handwriting. So I'm going to let Evan Nesky come up and his group and present to you what they've been doing.
Good evening, board members and Homer administrators. Homer second graders have been writing letters to the Army and those who serve for the holidays. With the help of Mrs. Gilbert and Miss Holcomb, we will be sending these letters to soldiers overseas who cannot be home for the holidays. We hope this can bring them some holiday cheer and also show them our appreciation. Thank you for your time and happy holidays.
If I could, the students that didn't speak, I really like them to come up and introduce themselves real quick.
Tegan. Isla. Marcus. Jack. Joey. Quiet.
Thank you, guys.
So students, on behalf of the Board of Education and the district administrators, I want to thank you for coming out and speaking with us tonight. You are incredible. And I know that we're going to have the good fortune of having you stand before us again at future board meetings because of how active and how involved and how passionate you are about your education and your community. I really thank you for your time and coming out. I have goosebumps, and I don't consider myself typically an emotional person, but holy cow, you guys. I don't know if you heard Mr. Kudlow. You could hear in his voice a little bit of nervousness. Not in any of you speakers. You're brave, you're confident, and you're passionate, and I thank you for caring about our community and for bringing that to us to share tonight. I do have some certificates of appreciation because we so much enjoy hearing what you're up to and what drives you and motivates you so that we can continue to build those things into our programming and opportunities for you. Esau.
Island.
Island. Oh, come on, Sonia, you can do better than that. Island.
Right on up and get this, honey.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear.
Gregory.
Nice job.
Elena. I did that one. Marcus. Thank you, Marcus. Appreciate you coming out.
I like your boots, buddy.
Joseph. Joseph.
Nice job.
Wyatt. Thank you, Wyatt. Jack. Tegan. Evan.
you guys, thank you.
So, part of the process typically would be that handshake, and dang it, COVID ruins that. So I really am looking forward to another time when you come and talk to us again and being able to personally greet you and thank you. Thank you all, and thank you families for, obviously this is a community effort, and I'm sure you're immensely proud as your goosebumpy board president, but thank you. And we always invite you to stay for the remainder of the meeting because it's incredibly exciting, right, Dr. Mack? But appreciate it, folks need to get home and do your bedtime reading and all of that. So thank you again, much appreciated.
Thank you. Kevin.
No pressure, no pressure.
Yes. Last one out needs to stay, just so you know.
You want to stay? I'll leave you with some ammo. I wish you the best of luck.
Ashley, same time, 10 minutes tomorrow? Thank you for coming. Thank you. It's okay. She's actually really good.
I think you're good, Doug. You're all right.
Yeah, we're okay. And our second presentation for this evening is the curriculum audit results.
Yes, we have Dr. Kevin Mack here with us, along with our very own Jeff Ebner. They're here to talk to us tonight about our recently completed curriculum audit that we've talked to you about. A lot of time, a lot of effort went into it, and I think you will be happy to see some of the results that Kevin will talk to you about tonight. So, gentlemen, if you are ready.
Yeah, thank you. I'll turn it over to Dr. Mack in just a moment. Like we always say, it's hard to follow up 50 minutes of that.
Uh-huh. You've officially been set up.
Welcome to Homer. But back in September, I began conversations with Tom and Dr. Mack about the possibility of conducting a curriculum audit within our district. I've had the fortunate opportunity to not only serve on a curriculum audit team, but I've also organized now 2 curriculum audits, one within the Auburn and Large City School District when I served as the director of curriculum there, and now here at Homer, serving in my current capacity. If you look at our guiding documents, our strategic plan, our district comprehensive improvement plan, and our SSEP at the intermediate school, they're all strategically aligned with one thing in common: looking at student engagement, and looking at student engagement through the lens of a relevant and engaging, coordinated and articulated curriculum. I felt it best that an external team come in and take a look at our written, taught, and tested curriculum, and look at all of our curriculum-related process, procedures, and documents that we have in our district, and look at, historically, where we've been with the curriculum development process. Dr. Mack lives locally here, longtime resident, longtime taxpayer in the district, but Dr. Mack has done a number of curriculum audits, and he's the first person I thought of when Tom and I started talking about this idea about a curriculum audit. We started conversing back in September, and the final draft was published this morning at approximately 8:30. So it's been a long time coming. This is an exciting opportunity for the district, and I'm looking forward to Dr. Mack's presentation, and now what I'll do is I'll turn it over to him, and he can share process and recommendations.
Okay, thank you. This is the first time I've spoken in public with a mask on, so if you can't hear me, just let me know, then I'll use the microphone. First of all, Mr. Turk, thank you for the setup, okay? I appreciate that.
Do what I can.
I think that's a real positive setup, because our audit was about the students as the customers. So it's, to me, they go together very, very nice. So thank you for that, okay? Okay, let's see.
Press to the right as you're moving to the next slide.
What I'm going to address tonight is basically two questions. I'm not going to review the entire audit, because that would take an hour to 2 hours to review every piece of it. You will receive a hand copy when I'm done sort of introducing it to you. You will get a copy of the whole document, which I think you'll enjoy reading. But I'm going to try to address the questions tonight is, what was the process, what was the procedure, and what are the recommendations? I thought those would be the thing. And then when you get a chance to look at the entire document, you'll see where all our findings, how they came about into recommendations. Okay? So, with that being said, I thought if my team members were here, the first thing I would do would be to introduce you. And this is who participated on an audit. None of them work at the district. We have a couple retired people. We have some people from one who used to work out the Fairport school districts. They were in different school districts. What did we figure out between all of us?
Almost 200 years of
175, 180 years of experience. That means the other people are a lot older than me. So this is the team. And it's a nice mixture of different backgrounds, different experiences, and that's what we were looking for in putting this together. But we didn't want everybody exactly the same. So, with that being said, I want to share with you the process, okay? And this little quote sort of tells everything that we're talking about. We want to gather and analyze data that will help us understand the system that produces the results we are getting. We want to focus our school-wide improvement efforts from random acts of improvement to one's focus on our ultimate goal. So the way we did that, everything, every recommendation, everything was based on the data that we collected. Okay? And we had a lot of data. The first thing was the perception data. Okay? In fact, before I get into that, let me just backtrack a little bit, the process. First of all, the process for the audit team was extremely enjoyable and very comfortable. We thought the people that we interviewed were very honest. It was just a wonderful experience. We thought with Mr. Turk and the district administrators, they really set up a nice environment for us to work. Also, we interviewed 60-some people. I'll get into that later. Okay? We only had one late appointment. And I really have to give credit to Jeff Ebner. We had all those people, 4 different buildings, and we had coordinated perfectly. I don't think you had to bring in a substitute, right, correct? And so those substitutes had to bring in to do it. So that's a lot of logistics to put it into play and getting all the documents. Also with the perception data, that's basically interviews. And what we did with the interviews, just so you know how we put it together, we had the interview statements, all questions, we worked on them, we tweaked them up. And then when I would say if I went out to interview somebody, I would record all my answers. And then what we would do is we would come back, in fact, we worked out of this as our office, which was outstanding. Then we would come back, and then we would just submit it, and not that I'm a technology expert, I went somewhere and I recorded by question 1, everybody's response for question 1, everybody's response for question 2. So when we went to review the data, it was very, very easy to do. So we had a lot of discussions on it. We also had everybody individually give us their impression before we talked together, is what are you getting out of this data? And so it wasn't just a piece of data where one person might have said something. There had to be numerous comments of the same thing. We found a written document that might have supported. It was a very, very thorough process. And I think, you need to understand that too. And the documents, it was quite interesting because we kept going along and we hear about another document, we hear about another document, and we took a lot of time to read through everything. So you could see where with the perception data and all the number of people that responded, And one of the things we made sure when we were addressing when we were doing the interviews is we really had to establish the trust. You know, we had to let them know that whatever they tell us, nobody's going to have to know you said it. And so when you see the findings, whatever, nobody would ever know who said what. And we thought that was very nice. I mean, everybody's a little nervous when they're being interviewed, but we thought the trust was there, and we really did appreciate that. And I think because I think there's a very trusting environment in the school district. You know, one of the first things you'll see when you see some findings, homework right, it's there. And we think that the administrators have really built a nice climate on each of the buildings so that, you know, the teachers will trust us to come in. Okay? So, perception data, that was the interviews. The document reviews, we reviewed a lot of different documents that refer to curriculum. And you'll see a list of all the documents in the handout when we give it to you, okay? And instructional walkthroughs too. We had people walk through the buildings, they walked in the classrooms, just to get a sense of what was going on. Every one of us had to go to all different buildings. We did not assign one of us to one particular building. We all went to every building, because we just didn't want one or two opinions on this building. We really tried to get a broad perspective. When we interviewed, this gives you a nice idea of how many people we interviewed and who we interviewed. Okay, 6 students. That was interesting. 6 parents, 37 teachers, and when we did the teachers, the way we selected them, just so you know if anybody asked you, basically I had Jeff Edner and the principals. They gave me a list of like all the teachers and what courses they teach. Jeff gave me a list of all the faculty and how many years experience they had. So what we did in putting it together is, and I selected, okay, Jeff had nothing to do with it. I would go through and we made sure that we had every content, every grade level. We also made sure that we had some brand new teachers, teachers with a few years experience, veterans and so forth. So we really did try to get a really strong cross-section of all the people that we interviewed, okay? And we also interviewed 2 teaching assistants. And once again, we are only late for 1 appointment. The document reviews, when we give you the report, you'll see a list of all the different ones. These are just a couple of the samples. Strategic plan, professional learning plan, the shared curriculum folder. The shared curriculum folder, I think that's the one that showed all the summer curriculum work that they did. So we saw every piece of curriculum work that was done. And that was very, very helpful. Instructional walkthroughs. We thought they were important. The classroom environment, you look at the participation, with the kids participating, the student engagement, and what were some of the instructional strategies the teachers were using. Okay? That was, if you were going to rank order the findings, the other 2 were the top 2. Okay, this was just sort of a follow-up to see if there was any difference with it. Now, when you look at the document, you'll see how we recorded the data. We had to put it together in some organization. And in the report, it's basically the general background, structure, policy, procedures, clear and measurable curriculum that promotes student learning and achievement, and the use of data to drive change. So those are the 4 headings. In the document that you're going to receive from us, we'll explain each of those in greater detail. But what we did is when we reported the data, we had to house it someplace. And then we decided those are the 4 areas that we're going to put it in. Okay? We thought this is a very important quote. And if you notice that we highlight certain things in blue, and I'm just going to cite that. Basically what we're looking for is to build a continuum of learning for all students. Curriculum is a district undertaking. It's not just a teacher undertaking. It's not just by building. Curriculum is district-wide to be effective. The reason is, it's like our 2nd grade customers, they're going through the whole system, okay? So the whole system has to be connected. When we talk about the terms articulation, that's pre-K to 12. Coordination needs at this grade level. So that our whole purpose, we look at curriculum as a district-wide undertaking. And I think that's an important thing to remember as you're going through this and looking at our recommendations. Now, this is an interesting little chart, let me explain it to you, because this was sort of the foundation of how we did some of our recommendations. If you take the, excuse me, if you take the top line, where it has vision, skills, incentives, resources, action plan, and change. What that means is if you have vision, skills, incentives, resources, and an action plan, you're going to have effective improvement or effective change. Those are the 5 ingredients basically for effective improvement. The second one, you see where it's missing vision, but then it has skills, incentives, resources, and action plan. And it said that if you have those 4 and you're missing a vision, you're going to have some confusion. You see how this was put together? Then the next one, if you're missing skills, you're going to have some anxiety. What we found here at Homer, we found that the skills, incentive, and the resources are all there. You know, it wasn't, you know, there was no question. We were all in agreement on that. What we found that we thought some improvement could come in is the area of the vision, because we found there was some confusion with people. We also found down at the bottom where it says an action plan, that we felt, okay, that the skill, blah, blah, the false starts. We think things were tried, but that it wasn't continued. You know, there's a lot of things going on, but a lot of it wasn't connected. And so that was some of the findings that we came up with. And you're going to see that our recommendations really focus in on the vision piece and the action plan piece. Okay? Any questions so far? Okay. Then what we did is we took the recommendations, and there's 15 of them. This is probably a good time to state, you're not going to accomplish these overnight. Okay, so you're going to see 15 recommendations, and it's just a matter for the school districts to decide, okay, how are we going to put this all together? Okay, and we tried to be very specific with some of our recommendations. So, the first 6 recommendations that I'm going to show you deal completely with the curriculum improvement process. Completely. The next one, 7 through 10, focus on specific curriculum that's happening in your district. And I'll explain it. Very specific at grade level. And then the improving the structure is how you're organized, type of thing. And one of the things I'll state now is one of the things that when you read through it, I actually put it together under the findings. You'll see a part that shows you how many teams or committees that you have in this district. We put a whole outline together, okay? There's a lot. And so we just thought it'd be important for you to see, here's the committees, here's the number of people participating in it, and, you know, sort of do they get in the way of each other, or do they know what each other is doing? Okay, here's the first recommendation. And I'll go through these quick, because you're gonna read them, okay? And it'll be in a little more detail, so I don't want to be redundant. One of the things we found, and the first question we asked everybody, is to define curriculum. And I don't think we came up with 1 or 2 answers that were the same. And what I have learned over my years of experience is that if you're going to begin working on something like curriculum, you need a common definition. You've got to be coming from the same page. It just makes it that much easier. And a lot of times, one of the first things I would do if I was working with a school district is we would define it. And that way we can say, okay, this is what we said curriculum is. Okay? You'll also find that, like for example here, that was already there. We found that in a document, that definition, you already had one, but nobody knew it existed. Of all the responses, one person mentioned that there was already a definition there. So, basically now we got to let people know. The other thing you'll find as we go along, a lot of people talk about curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Okay? Our definition, and the way we work through this, is assessment and instruction are part of curriculum. They're not 3 separate entities. Okay? You have curriculum, and then these are part of it. You'll see it with some of the templates as we go along. Okay? That was our first recommendation. Make sure everybody understands the common definition. These two sort of all these go together. I'll be quick. Create a 4-year curriculum cycle. And the reason we said that is because we felt that some of your content are being shortchanged. That not every content is having their moment in the sun to focus on K-12 curriculum. And when you do curriculum work, it has to be K-12. Okay? And so what we're saying is in 4 years, every content can be addressed. Okay? So And the way we recommend doing it is when we say 4-year cycle, is because we're sort of protecting, not sort of, we are protecting the elementary teachers, because they have to teach everything. And so when we say in a 4-year cycle, you can, and I won't, I'm just say English, math, social studies, science. They teach that. So what you don't want is doing 2 of them at the same time, because now you have to split up your faculty, and you want them, you know, working together on it. The other thing too is with a 4-year cycle, when you break it up with those 4 contents, you can also include a lot of the singletons, like foreign language, phys ed, music, art, all that can be incorporated. Because if students are sitting in the class, that class is important. Okay? So you have to give everybody the same respect as you're going through it. A common curriculum template, the document that you see, we give an example of a curriculum template that all teachers can use at every grade level, every content. Okay? The improvement process, that's one of the things that we feel that you're going to have to create, curriculum improvement process. But what we did in the document, excuse me, is we gave you an example of what that would be. So any of these recommendations, these are quick general comments, but when you read it, you'll see more specifics add on to it. Use the curriculum template components to drive professional learning. I mean, if you got all these components of curriculum, why would they not be, you know, part of your curriculum improvement process? I mean, it's all connected. And so we thought that was an important piece. And we asked, also number 6, the same thing, professional development. We found that, you know, there was some professional development here that was sort of piecemeal. And what we're saying is, let's bring it together. Okay, let's make this, you know, one district, and you can do that. Like I said, you got a lot going for you here. Okay? Yes, sir.
Question on recommendation 2. Your recommendation there of a 4-year review,
Yep.
is that based on the standard of standard school districts?
Basically, it's on how can we address every content. Okay, somebody might say we do 5 years or 6 years.
Okay.
Our feeling was, in 4 years, if I can accomplish every content to be addressed, then why would I not do it in 4 years? And the other thing, remember I mentioned, I'm trying to protect the elementary people. I want them all working on the same content, same thing. And if you don't, I've seen school districts say, okay, we're going to do math and science this summer. Then you're splitting up your faculty. You don't want that. It doesn't make any sense, because half of them are getting it and half are getting this. You want it to be, remember I said that coordinated at the grade level, a 4-year cycle to a coordinator. Once again, I think we have to protect the elementary teachers and put this together. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you're looking at something every year then, right?
Yes.
You're not putting the whole thing on the shelf for 4
Oh,
years
no,
and
no,
dusting
no,
it off
no.
every time the Olympics come around.
Every year. Like I said, today, let's start with social studies. We all know that's
Yep.
extremely important content.
Yep.
Okay?
Absolutely.
As you go through it, I had his sister in my social studies class. Okay?
My apologies.
Yeah. And as you go through it, it's all focused, so they do one. One school district I worked with, for 8 years, we followed a 4-year curriculum cycle. That meant in 8 years, the elementary teachers got to address each of their content, okay, twice. And they became so good at it and so comfortable, they're really excited. No, it doesn't stop. Curriculum improvement never ends, okay? And so it will never end. Once you complete it 4 years, you tweak it any which way you need to, then you keep moving on.
Thank you.
Okay, these are some more specific areas. And let me try to explain it. If I go, keep time, okay? The things you were talking an awful lot about, we found some information on, and I know it's part of your strategic plan, this is social emotional learning. It seems to be a very, rightfully so, important topic, you know, for the school district. What we felt though, in doing this, and we agree with you, but the thing is, how do you do it? Do you create an add-on? Then the question would be for the teachers, where do we come up with the time to do this? You know, you can have special projects and this and that, special days, but we felt to really address it is put it into some of your content, put it into some of your coursework. Or I'll give you an example. I can remember when character education was the big thing. Okay, that came out. Now what we found in the school district that I was working with, we came across the same thing. You know, do we do add-ons, this and that? And to respect the teacher's time, we thought we could add it into 2 of our curriculums. So we took all the like character education components, just like there's components for emotional learning. Am I correct on that? And then it's basically, we addressed it K-12, or pre-K-12. So every year you're getting it, and it wasn't piecemeal. So once again, out of respect for your teachers and time, how do we make this successful? Instead of just, okay, one day program here, one day program there. No, this is important. Now let's put some meat on it and bring it along. Okay? We also thought, one of the things that you people are doing in this district, and just to let you know for recommendation number 8, the audit team did a lot of research on CKLA to get a full understanding of what it's about. And basically the whole idea of the science of reading. And really what CKLA is, it's a package program of how you can address the science of reading. So the whole idea of the science of reading, and then the thing that matches up to the science of reading is something called letters, and I won't go into it. We felt that there was some professional development in CKLA. We're not sure how much was done with the letters program, and we thought that, okay, let's call a timeout, let's back it up a little bit, and let's make sure, and we recommend, and you'll see it in the big recommendation, is we recommend K-12. Anybody who's dealing with literature and reading, they should at least be trained in module 1, okay? And I think students would benefit, because just because a youngster enters high school doesn't mean they're a perfect reader, okay? Now, a lot of times, secondary people, I was one, you really might not understand the science of reading. The science of reading is great literature, is great research. Then, if you really think that reading is that important, then let's go K-12, okay? And only with module 1. And then the other modules, and you'll see in the recommendation, is that we said, okay, you can build that at the elementary level with more. So we thought that was a very important thing, that we're taking what you already had and taking it another level, okay? And the K-12 thing, I don't think the secondary people really will balk at it. I've seen a school district that took K-12 writing, and I thought some of the best teachers in there were the physics teacher when they did the labs. So, you know, it's just a matter of how they receptive. And we found that if you're working, if the kids are your customer, then we need to do everything we possibly can. Because not everybody's a perfect reader at high school level. Okay? And one of the things we thought for number 9, we thought that, what I mean by that is, right now it seems that a lot of the secondary English classes, they read 4 books a year. And that a lot of times, and this is not just a moment, that becomes the curriculum, okay? And what we're saying is, it is not the curriculum. We're saying that reading, writing, listening, and speaking is the curriculum. The books that you read in class support reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Also, by being a little more diversified, you're going to be able to address kids who have different reading abilities, different interests, because the book is not the curriculum. The book is what you're using to teach the curriculum. So that's where that recommendation came into play. Okay? And then the last one, the math modules. I don't know if you've heard anything about those. Okay? We're saying eliminate them. We think they cause a lot of confusion, frustration in the district. I think what happened is, I'm not sure, they just came about, and Homer just said, okay, here's our math curriculum, and we don't think it'll work. So we gave some ideas of how we think, and you're not going to stop it tomorrow, okay? Okay. But we think that going on, there's other things that you can do when you write your curriculum. The other thing we're saying too is that when you start to write some of your curriculum, there's going to have to be some training, not only in the templates and the documents, but also in some of the, if we're talking about math. Okay, here's what we want, the state says, here's the standards. You've already started creating a set of standards, so that's great. You started the process. Now we need to do a little more training, okay? Training, and then we produce. Don't jump in the water too fast. We don't have to be the first one out of the box. Okay, this is it. This is the last page. We also thought, one of the things in looking at it, we think the building principles are extremely important in the whole process. We think they're critical. And so when we looked at this, it's okay, how can we focus a little bit more on some instructional leadership? And in the report, we give you a couple of recommendations. We fully understand with COVID and everything going on, their time is in high demand. But how can we start the process, or how can we do that? Because they are such a critical component in the whole process, okay? We also thought for number 12, once again, one of the things we said, or I said tonight, is you have a lot of committees here, okay? And please really pay attention to that part of the document when I talk about that. We basically feel that the principal should be included in the cabinet meetings, and then you could eliminate the leadership team. That would be there. So all your administrators would be in one meeting, okay? The communications and everything would be right there. And then the other thing that we thought too, and you'll see that in the recommendation, that we thought the HTA should have a separate meeting with the superintendent and his or her designees. So we thought we can get everything involved, okay? The Restructure Instructional Leadership Council. That has 39 members. Okay? That's big. And so we're thinking, okay, what's their role in the process? And one of the things, and we kept figuring out, how did this come about? You know, how do you make it work? And with all the stuff that we're talking about for curriculum, we thought that when we say restructure it, we thought that we could basically eliminate that name, okay? And then what we would do is we would create a curriculum improvement team. And part of that curriculum improvement team would have about 15 members. Every building would be represented, okay? You don't need somebody from every grade level, because if you have 2 from a building, then basically they can go back to their building and say what they're talking about. So with the curriculum improvement team, what you would do is when we have it spelled out exactly what we would recommend that team would be responsible for, and then they would do that. One of the things that they would be responsible for also is professional development. You have a separate professional development team. We're saying, basically, let the curriculum improvement team incorporate that. Because if you're creating the curriculum process, the curriculum cycle and all that, why would they not be responsible for professional development? The other thing too, with the ILC, one of the things that we found that their responsibility was to approve textbooks. And our thinking is, once you write your curriculum, okay, then you start looking at what textbooks, what software do we want. But you do the curriculum first, then you look at the materials to support it. So you can see where it just ties in very nicely. We're just trying to streamline it, you know? And that's one of the reasons for that. The other one is 15, grade level and content area should have 1 lead teacher. We found in one area, one content area, had a lead teacher for the junior high and the high school. We're saying you don't need 2 separate ones, because if we're promoting articulation, let's get one. All the other departments have it, so we can do that. Also at grade level, we found that one grade level had numerous grade level leaders. I said, come on, pick one, and then we can move on. Then the last one there, it says incorporating the school district curriculum development process. You have a very nice new teacher orientation and mentor program. You do. And I know some of your instructional coaches are involved with it. Nice job. All we're saying is when you start incorporating some of this information, some of these, when and if you incorporate it, then that should be part of the new teacher orientation and also the mentor program. Because right now, if I'm a new teacher coming to your school district, what do I get? Textbook and keys. Okay? Fortunately, and I'll mention this here, one of the things we did find, we found the support of faculty for other faculty is very strong. They really do help each other out. It's like, go ahead, jump in the water. Even if you can't swim, we'll keep you afloat. Okay? They really are very supportive. So we think that's a good thing. But we just think if you're going to do some of this stuff, well, hopefully you do. Because once again, we think it's going to improve the learning for the kids. And so we think that's what we can bring in. And one of the things too, you'll see in the document the term learning and achievement. Okay? And we're very specific, putting learning and then achievement. To us, achievement are test scores. Learning is the knowledge and the skills that will make them successful. So there's 2 different things. Okay, they did one of these tests. What's that? I guess my question would always be to a school district is, what does that diploma really represent? Okay, does it mean we just do well test, or does it mean that when they walk out of here, we give them some knowledge and skills to be successful human beings? Okay. And I always have to have that quote. This will take some time, this is work.
All right, does anybody have any questions at this point? I'm going to give you it's still warm actually from the counter here. But I want to thank Dr. Mack for 100% failing at retirement, coming off the bench and helping us out here in Homer. Next steps, just so you're aware of what's going to happen within the district, Dr. Mack and I are going to do a traveling road show at the January faculty meetings. We have the principals have been gracious with their time, and we're going to present the same presentation at the 4 faculty meetings. The faculty staff are going to copy the report as well. And then, as a district, Tom and I and the rest of the district leaders, we're going to take time and ingest this document, look at the document, try to better understand the document, and really understand what we can do to streamline our district, what works, what we can tweak, what we can do moving forward as a school district together. So, but I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Dr. Mack, him and his team, for coming to our district, and all of them to a T. One of the members, Zane, he called me on his way home after the last day, and he wanted me to let everyone know that Homer restored his faith in public education. So I wanted to share that with you, because that was a meaningful comment. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
So Jeff, one of the things for me that I heard that's critical is the development of it prior to purchasing of textbooks
Yes.
and materials, because that tends to then become our curriculum, right?
Yep.
Here's the textbook, here's our curriculum. And so I like that. We're really going to,
Yep.
and I think that's what the board has continued. It feels like we jump from the latest, greatest to the next latest, greatest. And that's that confusion and the direction that you referenced, Dr. Mack. So I think that's going to, in the roadshow, that's going to be
Once you
pretty
get your
critical to
curriculum,
communicating.
You could eliminate a lot of, fads that come around, because they do come in education. But you can, here's our curriculum, let's just match up, and use it or not.
Yeah, so even in commentary as it relates to our math curriculum and abandoning what's out there is, the mad rush for what's the textbook we're going to use. And I think the way that's mapped out by design helps eliminate that, right? That's not the purpose. So we're not going to go be looking at vendor-produced textbooks. We're going to actually establish what it is we think the direction pre-K-12 should be. And then look for the supportive supplements, textbooks that support that endeavor. And I really think that's going to be critical in the roadshow, that's really well articulated.
And as well as the professional development that is going to be necessary to make these things happen once the prioritization happens, and the sustainability of it. And that's where, we've talked as a district for years. We're good at a lot of things. We have pockets of excellence. We need to widen that pocket by making sure that when we do turn staff over, which we, like other places, do now, that we do a good job on the front end with the mentoring program and with the orientation program for whatever it is that we expect of our staff when they work with our kids, that they get that on the front end instead of having to go and get it from various sources.
Like how cool would it be that your biology teacher is teaching something that's reading dependent and using processes and language that children have become familiar with since pre-K,
Yeah.
right? And that the biology teacher has a level of confidence in being able to teach that's curriculum specific, or content specific, but draws from what the child has had exposure to all the way up through. I think,
One of the things that you'll find in the reading is one of the parts of the curriculum document is a thing called the central questions. That basically you write, and the central questions is really what you're teaching to. And we found in school district lately, there's more and more research on that you can go across grade level with the same essential questions. And I think one example is with ELA. I was in a school district where we took the same essential questions and went 9-12. What changes are some other parts of the curriculum document, but now you can see the connectivity. And also, if you're doing a research paper, like in English, why can't I talk to a social studies or science teacher or some other content, and we can start bringing them together, the connection.
So I would also offer Dr. Mack's services after you've had an opportunity to digest the document. I know Kevin is very gracious with his time and would be happy to come back if we wanted him to, or to answer questions that you might have, in addition to obviously those of us that work here in the district. So, Dr. Mack, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right, we're going to jump right into our new business. If I could please have a motion to approve the warrants and claims auditor's report.
So moved.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? If I could please have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
So moved.
I'm sorry, was it a second? Sorry.
You got it.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? An investment summary budget status report. If I could please have a motion to accept the Committee on Preschool Special Education?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion to accept the reports from the Committee on Special Education?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? A motion to approve the budget development calendar.
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? A motion to approve the course edition?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments?
When's that slated to take place?
Fall.
Fall.
Is that 1 year at a time?
It's a half-year course, so it's actually part 2 of a course we already teach.
Okay.
So kids who are in the first part, we're expanding that, these kids will funnel to this class.
So does that come up for addition every year, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, not that particular class, this is an addition to.
This is addition to.
Yeah, this is expanding our ag program.
That's all. Great.
All independent.
Additional questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
That was for the course edition?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did I miss it?
Nope, I
Okay.
pushed on the next one.
If I could please have a motion to approve the field trip request, Racket Lake.
So moved.
Questions or comments on the field trip?
Yeah, there wasn't very much detail about, there were 2 field trips in that request. One was to go to Racket Lake, the second was to go to Howe Caverns in the spring, but there wasn't a lot of detail.
So we pulled the Howe Cavern stuff. They did have additional information, but there was no need to bring it to the board because it's just an out and back, same day trip. So
Okay.
it doesn't need board approval.
Oh, okay.
So, and we just didn't have time to redo the memo. She just
Okay.
let it go.
So what we've motioned for is to approve the Racket Lake trip,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Additional questions or comments? All those in favor of approving the field trip request for Racket Lake?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion to approve the disposal of items?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments?
How can we live without those items?
All those in favor?
Rhetorical question.
Opposed? Abstentions? I don't want to get up and grab the community voices. Are there any community voices wishing to be heard this evening? Moving on, if I could please have a motion to approve personnel?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments regarding personnel? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? For informational items, Superintendent?
Yes, I was just making sure Dr. Mack didn't put my jacket on by accident. Are you sure? Okay, all right, you have the scarf. All right, thank you. I was preoccupied, I apologize. We do have some informational items. The first are some fundraising updates. from the junior high. It's the aforementioned science club. They have a couple of activities planned for later this school year, a bowling activity in January, and their annual bottle drive in April. We have a co-curricular update for you. The Science Honor Society, they're looking to develop one of those. The adults that would be serving as advisors would serve in a voluntary capacity. And then down the line, if it's a successful group, we would consider it for compensation. We're excited to have that offering for kids. And the next one changed a little bit today. Mr. Van Etten had included previously a memo about what our January exam period schedule would look like, and we found out from the state ed department today that the January regions have been canceled, and so there will be student attendance all 5 days that week, and we'll work through any of the additional details that come from that cancellation of the January regions. And that's what I have.
And
No board.
no board or district committee reports this evening. Board member activities.
Great to have music back in our schools. I've been able to be at the senior high band and vocal concerts, made it over to the intermediate concert, watch the budding of our program, and then took in both performances of It's a Wonderful Life, the live radio show, so that was fantastic, well done. I know in the process we brought on a new sound person. We just approved that, and the sound was fantastic at all the events. We could hear the students clearly. There wasn't mass confusion about who was doing what. Everything worked beautifully. And also thanks to Josh and all the administrators for the streaming, the online. I had actually several parents approach me and say thank you to the schools for making that happen. So the effort behind that is appreciated.
I've attended varsity basketball games. And I also did the advanced band over at the intermediate school. It was very cute. And the senior high instrumental concert.
Went to the junior high instrumental concert. And I'm embarrassed, I am blanking on the long-term sub that's in for music right now.
David Jacobs.
Thank you, Mr. Over the J. Wanted to give him a shout out for really going above and beyond with his music groups. Just, we're really lucky to have a guy like him stepping in the way he's stepping in and helping with that.
Yep.
And then we finished out the volleyball season, so that's what I done.
And I appreciated the opportunity to see some of our concerts online from the car. And I agree, the quality of that was outstanding. I could hear, I could see, it was great. So I appreciate, and I had that same sense, Aaron, sitting here watching it. Homer's an incredible place, right?
On that note, just, so because watching the concert live wasn't enough, we got to watch it again
All right.
at home.
Yep.
But again, like, what a really awesome resource to have for all the people that couldn't attend. That was,
Yeah,
good job for Tech for making sure that can happen. Right?
A lot of folks to make that happen.
Yeah.
Upcoming events in further?
Yes, the big one obviously is we're going to conclude this week and head off for the holiday recess, and before we blink, we'll be back in 2022 and continuing all these fine things. So we're excited about it.
Right, if I could please have a motion to adjourn.
So,
Second.
All those in favor?
thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful holiday. I was going to show you tomorrow, just so you know, we'll be releasing our holiday video.